Gervonta Davis has done it again. Stops Ryan Garcia in round number 7 with a body shot, a vicious body shot that ended the night. Look, coming into this, I mean, obviously this was a big fight. This was a super fight in terms of popularity. A lot of people were interested in this fight. A lot of people wanted to see this fight. A lot of people were excited that this fight happened. And it was a good night for boxing because we got a big fight. We got a super fight. And it was a situation where guys crossed the street, Golden Boy and PBC and all worked together. And we got a big fight out there in Las Vegas. But at the end of the day, there are levels to this. And the reality is Gervonta Davis is at another level than Ryan Garcia. He's just better than Ryan Garcia. He's just more dominant than Ryan Garcia. He just has more power than Ryan Garcia. He's just a better boxer than Ryan Garcia. Everything that Davis and Ryan Garcia comparing the two, Davis is just better. And it showed tonight. He was the better guy, and he proved right now that he is the face of the sport. He is the face. And here's the reality when it comes to Tank Davis. If Tank Davis can find a way to stay out of trouble, if Davis can stay out of trouble, the sport of boxing is his. I mean, he could be the face of this sport if he stays out of trouble. And we know in the next couple of weeks, May 5th, I believe, he's going to get sentenced for the hit and run incident that he had. He pled guilty to in February. So we'll see how that whole situation plays out. But at the end of the day, if this kid can stay out of trouble, if this kid can stay on the straight and narrow, he can be special. Because look, he puts butts in the seats. He's a genuine dude. I mean, he seems to come off as genuine. People like him. People gravitate towards him. And so he has all these things working for him, and he's exciting in the ring. So he's exciting in the ring. People gravitate to him, and he puts butts in the seats. So all those things work for me to say that, look, this dude, if he can stay out of trouble, can be the face of the sport. You look at this fight now, round 2. The first round started out slow. Round 2, Garcia started fast, got a little loose, got a little reckless, and ultimately he got dropped. He got dropped in that second round by a left hand from Davis. And so you look at it from there, and I think from there he was cautious. He was cautious the rest of the way. After that knockdown in round 2, you felt that Garcia was cautious, and Tank just started piling on the rounds, started winning the rounds, and taking control of the fight. And ultimately, in that 7th round, a body shot, you looked at it, it didn't seem like it was a vicious body shot at first glance, but it landed clearly. And Garcia took a step back, ultimately took his knee, and ultimately the fight was over. It is Tank Davis now. People kept saying, well, whoever wins this fight is going to be a sport. It's going to be the face of the sport. If Gervonta Davis wins, he's going to be the face of the sport. If Ryan Garcia wins, he's going to be the face of the sport. So the face of the sport at this point, I guess it's Tank Davis, right? Well, we still got Canelo out there. Canelo is obviously a big-time name and a guy who sells still big time. Obviously, he has a huge Mexican fan base and everything. But you look at Gervonta Davis, this dude in this fight sold out T-Mobile Arena. And again, he's putting people in seats everywhere he goes. If it's Atlanta, if it's Baltimore, if it's California, no matter where you put Tank Davis, if it's DC, no matter where you put him, he's going to put butts in the seats because people are excited to watch him. People are excited to see him, and people want to be around him and go to his fights. And credit to him, he is a guy now who is on top of the sport. He is on top of the sport, on top of the world. And I look at this fight and I look back on this fight, and I'm saying to myself, maybe Ryan Garcia just wasn't ready for this fight at this point, at this time. Ryan Garcia, in terms of popularity, was ready. Sure, he was very popular. He's very popular. People care about him. He's got a big-time Instagram following, big-time social media following. People care about him. He's a good-looking kid. People care about Ryan Garcia. But in terms of his skill set, he probably wasn't ready for this particular fight. And maybe, there was talk he was going to take a tune-up before this fight. Maybe he should have took that tune-up. I mean, last time he fought was what, July 2022. So maybe he should have took that tune up. So because Davis fought in January, so maybe he could have took that tune up and been fresh, and ready to go for this particular fight. But he said he didn't want to do it. He ran right into this fight. Maybe he just wasn't ready. 24 years old, Tank is 28. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe Garcia just wasn't ready, and it showed tonight. I mean, there's levels. There are levels, and he's not there. He's not on Tank Davis's level. And my question coming into this fight was the power. Could Ryan Garcia stand up to Tank Davis's power? And it was clear that he couldn't stand up to Tank Davis's power. It was clear in the second round when he got dropped. It was clear in the seventh round when the fight ended with a body shot. He could not stand up to the power of Gervonta Tank Davis. And I think after he got dropped, he was a little gun shy going forward. And so ultimately, again, give Tank Davis credit. Give Tank, he is the man. He is the man. He is the man. I'm sad. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, you could be if you're a Ryan Garcia fan. You could be sad about what transpired tonight. But here's the thing: Ryan Garcia is still young. Ryan Garcia still can come back. Ryan Garcia, I mean, he has a decent skill set. But look, he's not a guy you would have thought. No, I don't. I mean, I saw people betting. I think one of the Charlo brothers was betting on Ryan Garcia, and so look, you can bet on him if you want, but at the end of the day, he's just not on the level of Gervonta Tank Davis. Just not there. Just not there. Just not there. I don't know how drained he looked. I mean, but at the end of the day, they whatever catch weight situation, they agreed to it. They agreed to the rehydration clause. They agreed to all those things. All those things they agreed to. And so at the end of the day, it can't be an excuse. They agreed to all of it. They agreed to every part of it. Every single solitary part of it. It is what it is. You negotiate, you get what you negotiate, and they could negotiate a catch weight situation, and that's what it is. And that's what happened. That's what transpired. Don't think it mattered. I don't think weight, any of that mattered clearly. I just think Gervonta Davis is just better. Just better. Just flat out better. And to me, the only person that could beat Gervonta Davis at 135, the only person that maybe can stand up to his power is Shakur Stevenson. I don't think Devin Haney can stand up to his power. I don't think anybody else at 135 can stand up to the power of Shakur Stevenson. of Gervonta Davis. So for me, the fight, obviously, I like to see him fight the winner of Loma and Haney. That would be cool. That would be great. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be nice. I'd like to see that next. And then, from there, whatever happens, happens. But I mean, if you maybe Shakur Stevenson, that's what I want to see after that. So I would love to see him fight the winner of Haney and Lomachenko. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that's going to happen. You look at Haney. Haney might move up to 140 at some point after this particular fight. He's talking about it's hard for him to make the weight. Then his father came out on the ESPN broadcast and said they're going to stay at 135. Who knows? But he's saying it's hard to make 135. He's been on the record as saying it's been hard for him to make 135. So maybe at this point, at this time, after he fights Loma, he's going to move up anyway. So we might not. Maybe we get to fight at 140, Haney and Davis. But it'll probably be bigger at 135 because all the belts will be on the line if he beats Lomachenko. So who knows what's going to happen in terms of that? That's the politics of boxing. And unfortunately, we know the politics of boxing is real. And we know, it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. It ain't going nowhere. We can try, we can hope, we can do all the things we can do, but the politics of boxing ain't going nowhere. Just not. It's just not. And so you look at Ryan Garcia. Ryan, okay, nice fan fight, but not a real fight for status. I mean, look, Ryan, this particular fight, we look at this particular fight, and again, I said earlier, in terms of popularity, Garcia was ready for this fight. In terms of popularity, he was ready. Clearly, he was ready for this fight because, again, this fight resonated with the public. People were, sold out quickly. A lot of people cared about it. A lot of people talk about it, trending on Twitter, trending everywhere. People are talking about, casual boxing fans are talking about. So this fight clearly resonated with the public. So in terms of popularity, in terms of all that, Ryan Garcia truly was ready for this particular fight. But in terms of skill set, in terms of ability, in terms of where he stands at this point of his career, he wasn't ready. And maybe he will never be ready because at the end of the day, some fighters just are better and will always be better. And I think Tank Davis is one of them. Look, people talk about his power. Breadman Edwards, Stephen Edwards made a great point when it comes to Tank Davis and talking about his ability and what he did tonight. Um, he did a lot of things tonight in terms and just showed the boxing ability. He showed his boxing ability tonight. And let me pull that tweet up Brightman Edwards had. Uh, Great tweet in terms of talking about Gervonta Tank Davis. So here we go. Brightman Edwards has here we go. Tank is short, but he's elite at all three ranges, outside mid range, inside. He just boxed his way to a KO. Lots of punchers slug to a KO, but he just boxed to one. Top 10 pound for pound fighter. I don't want to hear about a resume. There aren't better fighters than him in the world. And I think Breadman Edwards, Stephen Breadman Edwards, trainer for Caleb Plant, trainer for Julian Williams, think he might be on to something. There's not many guys in this beautiful world that are as good as Gervonta Tank Davis. There's just not. And we could talk about the resume. Yes, the resume isn't stellar. It isn't, off the charts, off the chain. And maybe also over time that's going to change. But at this point, Tank Davis is involved in super fights. If you're fighting Tank Davis, it's a super fight. If you're fighting Tank Davis, it's going to be on pay-per-view, right? I mean, every single fight at this point going forward is pay-per-view. This is a pay-per-view attraction. This is a pay-per-view star to a degree. So going forward, everything that Tank Davis does is going to be fairly big, right? You can say Hector Luis Garcia, his fight that he fought in January wasn't pay-per-view worthy. Probably not. But in this era, in this era of boxing, it is, right? So anything this dude does going forward is going to be fairly big, and you just hope that he can get those big fights, and most importantly, you just hope he can stay out of trouble, right? Because that's going to be key for him going forward. His ability to stay out of trouble. He's got to stay out of trouble, and if he can stay out of trouble, well, guess what? He can position. He can put himself in position. He can put himself in position where he can do some big, big things in this sport. So we'll see where he goes. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where the future is for Gervonta Tank Davis. But look, this was a good night of boxing. This was a great night of boxing, and the fans won. Fans don't. Bruce Carrington, Shushu Carrington talked about this. The fans win tonight. This is a situation where the fans won. The fans won tonight. The fans got what they wanted tonight, and they won. The fans won tonight. Now, yes, Gervonta Davis won. Ryan Garcia won to a degree. Got some, got paid obviously, but the fans won tonight. And if you watch this fight, $85 was a little steep, but it is what it is. You purchased it, you bought it. It is the cost. Unfortunately, of watching boxing in 2023, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. It's not going to be cheap. It's not a cheap situation. It's not a cheap proposition. If you're going to watch boxing, if you're a fan of boxing, it's going to cost you some change. It's going to cost you some change. It's going to cost you a couple dollars. And that's the reality of the situation. It's going to cost you. And it costs $85 to watch this fight tonight. And that's not cheap, especially in this economy, especially with the way things are going with the economy, right? That's not a cheap proposition. It's just not. It's not a cheap proposition. So, look, it is what it is. But if you want to watch boxing and in this era, this is what it's going to be. This is what you can complain about it all you want. You can talk about it all you want. You can say whatever you want to say about it. But it's going to cost you money to watch the sport of boxing. It's just that simple. Kind of sucks to a degree, sure. Who wants to pay $85 to watch a sporting event from your home? Not many people want to do that. But again, it is what it is, and it's the cost of watching the sport of boxing. That's not changing, right? It's not changing. Um, got to pay for the fights, got to pay the purses, got to pay the people. Everybody's got to get paid. So in order for all that to happen, guess what? You're gonna have to shell out X amount of dollars for all that to happen. You're gonna have to shell out a few for all that to happen, right? $85 tonight. Sometimes it's $75. You know, Lomachenko and Haney is $60. But I mean, regardless, it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap. And again, with the way the economy is, not many people have that kind of disposable income at this point. So something to think about as we go forward. But look, um, great night of boxing. Fans won. Gervonta Davis won. One of the faces, if not the face of the sport. Um, Again, if he can stay out of trouble, he could be special. He can be very special. He sells. He knocks people out. Look, that's another thing. He knocks people out in 29 fights, 29-0, 27 KOs. So he knocks people out. And Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather did with his mouth. He grew, obviously winning. He won big time. He won at an elite level and a high level, was undefeated. But his mouth helped him as well. His mouthpiece helped him. He wasn't, to a lot of people, he wasn't the most exciting in the ring, but his mouthpiece helped. You look at Gervonta Davis, right? He has excitement, and again, he has a personality that resonates with people. So he has things in his favor. He has some things in his favor, and again, he wins. He knocks people out. Knocks people out. And guess what? Well, what made Mike Tyson so exciting? He knocked people out, right? And people calling him Mini Mike Tyson. So what makes him exciting? He knocks people out. Mike Tyson knocked people out, and so does Gervonta Tank Davis. We'll see what happens next, right? Again, we do May 5th. He is sentenced for he pled guilty back in February. Um, for a hit and run incident that happened in 2020. So we'll see what kind of time he gets. Maybe he can get off probation or something of that nature where he can continue his career, continue fighting, or maybe he does jail time. Maybe he sits down for a year. Who knows? I know at one point, back when he initially, there was a plea deal out there. He didn't want to take it because reportedly that plea deal um, had jail time attached to it. I think it was a year attached to it, something of that nature. So, he obviously rejected that at that point. But ultimately, I think, sometime later, obviously he decided to plead guilty. So we'll see what happens with that situation. We'll see if he is going to do jail time. We'll see. Hopefully he can avoid something, and hopefully he can continue on with his career, and hopefully he can continue to be a success um, in and outside of the ring. Seems like a good kid. Obviously he has some things, probably just like all of us have some things. But it seems like if this kid can get things right, he should be fine. He should be good to go, and he should be okay. Should be okay. Hopefully, we shall see. We're going to get out of here now. I just wanted to jump on here, talk a little bit about this particular fight. Fun fight, obviously. Great night of boxing in Las Vegas. Gervonta Tank Davis stops Ryan Garcia with a body shot in the seventh round KO. And he now moves to 29-0 with 27 KOs. Ryan Garcia suffers his first loss. The undercard was not very good. It wasn't a good undercard at all. But on paper, it wasn't a good undercard. So there's no surprise there. But you just wish, obviously, but, the main event did live up to the hype. It was fun for as long as it lasted, I guess. But I think it became kind of clear that Gervonta Davis, there was levels to it, and Gervonta Davis was at a higher level. So we're getting out of here. See you later. Bye.